I still fell for this and I thought it was a great investment. And also, I had proof from the pudding, like I could see my money grow and I received money. So I was ready to go all in with all of my money. Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and thank you so much for joining me yet again. If it is your first time here, and on this channel we chat about all things related to managing your money and adulting in general. So if that sounds like your type of vibe, check out our other videos. If you like what you see, don't hesitate, smash the subscribe button and become a member of the team. Today we are talking about Ponzi and pyramid schemes in the South African context. Yep, we are going to be talking about all those people who are dishonestly ripping people of their hard-earned money. And I am going to be sharing a personal story with you guys of the first time I interacted with the pyramid scheme, and I actually participated as a member. And I'm going to be giving you the lowdown of exactly what happened, how the transactions happened, how much I invested, how much I got out, if anything, and what transpired there. And then at the end, we're going to end off by me telling you what are some of the red flags that I should have been aware of had I known better and actually not participated in this pyramid scheme. Remember, I didn't know better at the time. So I want to tell you 5 red flags that you can be aware of if you ever find yourself in a similar position. Before I even start, big shout out to my cousin who actually suggested that I do this video. And you know, when he suggested it, I realized that in the economic climate that we are in now, people are really desperate to make ends meet. But not only that, their money is not growing as fast as their needs as well as their expenses. So I think that a lot of people are very vulnerable to such schemes at this time because you need that money. And it seems like saving and investing is not doing enough because inflation is skyrocketing, interest rates are going up, cost of living is going up. So it just seems like you can't meet up. So I think it's the perfect time to have this type of conversation. Before we begin, let's not assume that everybody knows what a pyramid scheme or a Ponzi scheme is. So basically, a pyramid scheme is a fraudulent investment that somebody starts up and promises super high returns to a group of people who don't know any better. So it is a fraudulent investment. It's not legal. People promise super high returns. And another key thing when understanding pyramid schemes is to know that a lot of people will use the recruiting mechanism in order to get more people participating in this pyramid scheme and getting into it in order to make money. So that's basically what a pyramid scheme is. It usually grows in the form of recruitment. People promise high returns. And another thing is that the initial people who join in usually get money out, because remember, the people who start pyramid schemes are very smart in that they know that word of mouth spreads faster than anything else. So if they can give the initial investors some money out, then everybody else is going to follow suit, knowing that there's money to be made. Cool. Now that we all know what a pyramid scheme and what a Ponzi scheme is, let's get into some examples. So we, or most of us, are probably familiar with Triple M. That is one of the first pyramid schemes that I personally got to know. Luckily for me at the time, I did not have the financial means in order to participate, but I did hear people talking about all this money they were making on Triple M. People were buying cars and all of those things. Now, I did a bit of research and found that Triple M was started by a Russian guy who decided that, you know what, I'm going to lie to people and say that there's this investment that gives them super high returns. And that economy was going through the most at the time. So again, people were very vulnerable and could obviously be interested in something like this because they need the money and they want to make the money and they don't know any better. So he started this pyramid scheme. And here's the thing. With him, he kept bringing back the same pyramid scheme time and time again under a different name whenever he would get caught. I know I read that at some point he got arrested for 4 years, and when he came back, he started another pyramid scheme that had similar characteristics to Triple M, but he called it something else, and yet again, he positioned it in a different part of the world, and people fell for it. So he would do this multiple times under different names. And another interesting thing that I discovered is that when he plans where to roll out this pyramid scheme, This guy would look at all the countries that have poor economic growth, high poverty, and low financial literacy rates. Now think about that. He's actually targeting the countries that he knows are very desperate for money and have poor financial literacy levels, so they won't know any better and they'll honestly believe and think that this is a legitimate investment. That's very important to note, especially because you guys know I am an advocate for financial literacy, and this is one of the reasons, because I know that once you know better, you'll be able to pick up when somebody is trying to rip you off, and you'll be able to make smarter decisions. So that was Triple M, and like I said at the time, in the early 2000s, I didn't have the financial means to participate, so I honestly just heard about it, and that was it. The one that I got involved in was called Kipi. That was the short name. I think it was called Kipi Community Group or Kipi Community Investment Group or something to that effect. Now, when this started, around the time when it started, I was in my second year and also in my second year of working. As many of you guys know on the channel, I started my first job when I was 18. So by then I already had a quarterly income because I would work during the holidays. And that money was saved up in a savings account, in my savings account. And then I heard of this opportunity called Ukipi, where people were making tons of money. I heard about it at the place that I was working. There was a guy there who was actually a financial advisor. Now that I think about it, that is the same financial advisor that sold me my very first investment that you guys know was a mistake because I did a whole video on it. Anyway, I never actually thought about the link until I thought about it just now. So let's give this person who recruited me a name, and then let me give you the lowdown of exactly what happened. So Tom, right? So Tom recruited myself and a couple of other colleagues, and then he helped us open an online account on Ukipi, and then everybody had an online profile with their details. And then after you create the online profile, you would then select how much you would like to invest as well as the term. So I started with something that was not that much for me at the time. In retrospect, it was a lot, but then it was a small portion of my savings because you guys know that I'm very risk averse. So I chose to put in 5,000 Rand at the time. And then I chose the smallest period, even though it promised to double your money, I think, in the first 30 days. In the next 60 days, I think your money would triple. And then 90 days above, like your money would obviously be times 5, 6, 10 even, and things like that. I'm not really sure of the exact details. So I opened my online profile, and then what would happen is, because it was a community investment, you would get the bank details of someone else that you had to deposit money into. I remember my person, the branch was somewhere in the Free State or Ladysmith, and it was a Capitec savings account, and it was I could see that it was a person of color, looking at the name and the surname. Myself and the person never communicated. I would just get the bank details from Ukipi via SMS, and I would have to deposit my 5,000 Rand. So now that I figured out how things work, that 5,000 Rand would then go to her because she was expecting a payout of 5,000 Rand. So we were basically moving money amongst each other, right? So I then invested my 5,000 Rand, and then I would watch it grow online. I watched it grow, guys. It became 5,500, I think, within the first 2 days. Then it grew again by 200 Rand, and it was insane. I had invested mine for about 30 days, I think, and the payout was supposed to be 9,000 Rand. Guys, I watched that money every single day to see it grow, and I kid you not, when it was 30 days, Ukipi asked me if I would like to stay invested or, if I would like to keep my money invested for a longer period so I could get more money. I said, I'm out. After 30 days, I basically withdrew my cash, and my 5,000 Rand had become 9,000 Rand. And then after that, they probably sent my bank details to somebody else, and then that person paid into my account, and boom, I was 4,000 Rand richer in a space of about 30 days, which was absolutely insane. Guys, I was so crazy over this thing. I was like, oh my God, this thing actually works. This is the best investment ever, because at the time I had been investing in my savings account and it wasn't growing at all. So when I saw my 5,000 turn into 9,000 in a matter of weeks, I was like, oh my God, this is the one. So what I did is that I then I put in a notice account for my entire savings to withdraw it, because I wanted to put all that money into Kipi and then let that money double. Now I was interested in investing for a longer period. And here's the thing, guys, I was financially literate, I thought, at the time. And I still fell for this, and I thought it was a great investment. And also, I had proof from the pudding, like I could see my money grow and I received money. So I was ready to go all in with all of my money. But because I'm a very stingy person, I didn't want to cash in my fixed deposit with immediate effect. I put in a 30 days notice, and I told myself that when that money comes out in 30 days, I'm taking the 9,000, I'm taking all of the money I had saved, and I'm going to put it all into Keepy, right? So close to the 30 days happening, all of a sudden I hear news, Uba, the accounts are frozen. The accounts have been frozen. People can't access their accounts online. They're getting error messages and all of those things. I go into my account, even though I wasn't invested at the time, I go into my account and I see that I can't get in. My account is also frozen. I get Kippy's email address. I try to contact them, no response, right? So things went quiet for a week or two, and a lot of people were now freaking out about the fact that, oh my God, our money is gone. Because now people had invested, my 50,000, 100,000, 150,000. I remember there were some people who even invested their pension money. Like they found a way to quit their jobs, invest pension money. And these were just stories I was hearing around, okay? Now people had lost their money and the money wasn't coming out. Then I remember that right after the 30 days, when my money was available, I was like, okay, cool, let me see what happens. Because obviously, because Ukipi was frozen, I couldn't deposit any money, right? Because the whole system had crashed. So I said, okay, let me keep my money out of the notice account and let me see what happens. And after a few weeks, we then everybody who was a Kippy member got an email to say that in order to unlock your amount, you need to buy this thing called BTC, now known as Bitcoin, this thing called BTC, and you buy a fraction of it, like 0.00 something, and it was very affordable at the time, Shin. So we had to buy that in order to, I think you had to buy like 300 or 400 rands worth. I can't remember the details. I remember the sequence, I remember what happened, but not the exact numbers, guys, so please bear with me. So we had to buy that portion now, and then again, this very same guy who had got people into this thing, Tom, he was helping people buy this BTC that we didn't know what it was at the time, but all we knew is that Ukipi had said in order to access our money, we needed to buy this thing on another platform called Ice3X. You log into Ice3X, which has now since shut down. Guys, we've been through the most when it comes to money. Ice3X has since shut down, but you had to buy this BTC thing from Ice3X, and then you would buy a portion of it, and then it would give you a key, and then that key you would log into your Kippy account, put in the key, and then your account would be unfrozen. That became a new business. Now all Tom are busy helping people buy this BTC and actually use it to unlock their accounts. Then your account would unlock, but it would still be frozen. After you've bought that BTC for however many 100 rands, the amount always fluctuated. So they asked for 0.09 or 0.009 BTC, which was a rand value that kept fluctuating, and that would open your account. So we put that in, and then it would open the account, but you could not transact in the account. Guys, after that happened, I was like, okay, fine, I'm done. Like, I am done with this thing. And I know I fell for the trap again of actually buying the BTC, which was a few hundred rands. But after that, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm no longer going to participate in this. It clearly doesn't make sense. And then after that, when my money was safe and I had cut my losses, I don't know, other people kept receiving like more emails to participate and do this and do that action. But by then, I had cut my losses. And I honestly started reading up and educating myself on like what's up with these investments and how do they work. And that's when I realized that there were pyramid schemes and actually out there to rip people off. And I obviously had conversations with people that I knew to try and raise awareness. But it didn't help, guys. You know, when people are really, really desperate, they will fall for anything that will increase their money significantly in a short space of time. So that was me. I was fortunate because I was one of the early birds. And in pyramid schemes, honestly, the early birds usually get their money out because obviously they want people to spread that news via word of mouth that things are working. Kanti, they know that once they've recruited enough people and they've made enough money, they're going to shut it down and keep the big investors. Because We know that people usually invest a little, then they invest more, then they invest like a lot of money once they know that it's working. Because remember my example, I was also ready to invest much more. So that's what happened in my case, guys. But honestly, you never know if you're going to be the early bird or not. So I would strongly suggest that you just stay away from these things. They are illegal, they are out to take your money, and always be vigilant in terms of the things that you invest your money in, especially these days. Like with technology and everything, anyone can do anything, from a clickbait to phishing to getting into your emails and your bank account and all of those things. So please don't fall for any of that. And I'm not only going to say don't fall for any of that, I'm also going to share 5 things very quickly that you must look out for, that I should have looked out for before almost losing a ton of money. The first thing, I've made a list here. The first thing is unbelievable returns. Guys, I said in my previous video that if someone says they're gonna double your money within a week, please ask yourself why that person hasn't done that for themselves to a point of being financially free and not having to recruit other people. Just always ask yourself that. Why hasn't this person along the years doubled their money and they made so much money that they don't have to work, to a point where they're still begging you to participate? Returns, your money markets and your savings account will always offer you more or less inflation rate, right? So they'll give you like a 6% to 7%. And then investments will offer you inflation plus a specific amount. So usually for your traditional investments and your common investments, it's inflation plus 5%, 8%, 10%, that type of thing. The higher that percentage promise, the higher the risk. Then you're getting into your like hedge funds and stuff like that have super high returns, but also super high risk and a high entry level. So if someone offers you 30% tomorrow and 50% and all of those things, you already know that that should raise a flag that something is wrong here. This person is trying to rip me off. So that's the first red flag. It's unbelievable returns. The second one is relying on recruiting instead of selling. So you know that when your legal and registered financial service providers, when they entice you and motivate you to invest, it's always directed at you putting your money in a specific investment. They don't say bring 5 friends and off your 5 friends 500 Rand each. If you recruit more than 5 friends, you get to a certain level. Your legal, legitimate financial service providers will never ask you to do that. So when an investment relies on recruitment in order to grow, you know, they usually have those images that are like one line, then it tells you once you're done with your one line, there's another line, and then you there at the top and you start earning money. That means that that investment is relying not on selling its investment management service, but on you recruiting other people. And that is a red flag, because I mean, why would you not have a legitimate service or product or underlying funds to sell? Why would you rely on other people recruiting each other if this is actually an investment? So that is red flag number 2. The third one is lack of transparency. Now, this is something that you can catch quite easily. Lack of transparency in the sense that when you have an investment with any provider, they are bound by regulation to give you a statement that shows how much you have invested, how long you've been investing for, and what your returns are. You need to get that statement at least, I think minimum is probably annual or quarterly, or when you request it. Even if you don't get it via email, but when you request it, you should be able to get a statement, because that shows transparency of what is happening with your money, how much is in your money, and how much is it belongs to you. And now that I think about it, we never had statements with Ukipi. And I remember speaking to somebody else one day who was very very suspicious about her investment, and I said to her, request your latest statement and let's sit down and look at the statement together. And she said to me, oh no, Andy, so I asked for the statement and they don't have one. So I said to her, but you've been in this investment for 4 years, so which statements have you been looking at? And she said, no, we only get our returns presented in a Zoom session as a group of all the members, and then they present it, but they never actually send statements. Red flag. Red flag, guys. Lack of transparency with your finances is definitely a red flag. The fourth one is pressure tactics. So the get in now, you're going to miss out. You've got 1 week, get 5 people in the next 7 days, or else your level drops. Pressure tactics are definitely a red flag. You'll never find a legitimate financial services provider putting you under pressure to get into something because the opportunity is going to leave, or the opportunity is going to this and that. So when someone puts you under pressure to recruit you and to recruit others, then you know that something is fishy there, and they're probably making money out of recruiting more than they are the actual service, right? Or they are going to get money and earn money off of recruiting you, which means that this is not an investment that you get returns out of. This is a recruitment Ponzi pyramid scheme that you get money out of getting more and more people in. So that is red flag number 4. The last red flag is the lack of a sustainable business model. Like I've mentioned before, no legitimate investment should be heavily reliant on the recruitment of. So with an investment, the money should be made from the underlying investments and funds. Let me give you an example, right? Because this is the last one. When you have an investment, or rather, when I go into an investment, there are 3 things that I look for. Number 1, I look at what am I buying? This is where the sustainable business model comes in. What am I buying in this investment? So I'm going to be putting in 1,000 Rand a month, but what am I buying? That portfolio manager or financial planner or financial advisor must show me which sectors is my investment going into, and in those sectors, what type of investments are underlying. So for example, if they say half of your investment is going to go into local property, the other half into global shares, I want to know which global shares. And a proper fund fact sheet should give you that information. Then you know that you're getting into something that's legitimate, something that's an actual investment and that has underlying investments that you are familiar with. The second thing that I look at with investments is how much am I paying, right? What are the fees? I want to know, do the fees justify the return? So I told you guys that when I look at fees, I don't have a certain number to say I won't pay more than 1%. I usually want to know what is the projected return, what is the historic return, and how much am I paying? So I must be able to see my fee structure. The third thing that I look for is, does the return exceed the actual fees that I am going to be paying for? And that is important for me to know, because I need to know more or less what could the returns be based on the past, and is that number more than the fees that I am paying? So those are some of the things that I look out for in a legitimate investment. And if those questions are not being answered, then I'm sorry, it is not my portion. I am not getting involved. So guys, now that you know, number 1, how pyramid schemes work and what they are, and also most importantly, how to spot them when you do come across them, please make sure that you stay vigilant, you stay away, you protect your money as much as possible, and you make sure that you do the due diligence before you get into investing. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, as per usual, give it a huge thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section if you have any other questions, or even if you have stories to share about pyramid schemes. Because guys, honestly, let's be honest, we don't always know. And that's the whole point of this channel, is to learn from each other and also to learn from the information that is being shared. I will see you in the next video. Bye.